Welcome to the Guitar Resource Podcast, practice topics for the beginning and intermediate guitarist.
Hello, I'm Jim Ellis, and we just wrapped up our series on the blues scale. So we did the A blues scale, and we separated that into a bunch of positions. And so I thought today we would talk a bit about how the neck patterns are typically explained and structured, and how you can work with them. So eventually, the goal is to be able to really play any position, any scale that you're working with. So every position is basically a first finger location. Like, let's say we're at the first fret here, and every finger that follows gets its own fret spot. And that's the basic idea behind a position. So if we move the first finger up to the second fret, the fingers that follow would be, let's say I'm on the first string here. So I have the first finger on the fret 2, string 1. So the fingers that follow are finger 2 on fret 3, finger 3 on fret 4, and finger 4 on fret 5. So that gives us a lot of positions to work with. So we have up to 12th position, and 15th position, and so on. But you can think in sort of pattern regions. So let's use A as our example note, since we have been talking about A in the previous episodes. So let's start out with second position. So we have, let's say, an A here, and on the third string, second fret, and I'm using my first finger. And then we have an A on the sixth string, fifth fret. So that is a convenient octave, and this is one of the 7 octave shapes. So we're using our tonic note. We're thinking in the key of A here, or A minor, or A major. And since we're talking about the blues scale that we had worked on. So we have this shape, and then we have another octave shape with this A on the third string, second fret, and A on the first string, fifth fret. So you can think about this area here as kind of a pattern region, and play all the A notes. So let's say we're working with that blues scale, for example. We could play that scale through here, and even going down a bit lower. So we could think about this as kind of a pattern region. Okay, and then if we shift up, so we were in second position there. If we shift up to the 5th position, we can find the same 2 octaves. This is the lower one, between the first finger on the 6th string and the third finger on the 4th string. And then we have the upper octave, third finger on the 4th string, and first finger on the first string, and that lower note is on the 7th fret, and the 5th fret for the higher note. So then we have a pattern region that we're working with here too. So I'm just using the blues as an example, but you could play any scale through this. And then the lower one here, lower octave. So you could think of this as an area to play or a pattern region to work with. So let's shift up. We have now, we'll seek out these A notes again, and we're on the 4th string, 7th fret, and the 2nd string, 10th fret. Okay, and so here we have just one octave shape that we can reach in this position. Otherwise, we'd have to go back or up. So we have this, and we could play blues scale or whatever scale we're using through here. But we can also go down lower, even though it doesn't reach to the A again, at least in this pattern region. And we can also go up higher. Okay, so let's take a step forward here. So we'll go to, well, let's say 9th position. And we'll play the A notes between the string 2, fret 10, and string 5, fret 12. And we have just one octave shape in this pattern region. And so let's take a look at that blues a little bit. Okay. And so we can play that, but we can also go down lower too. And up above. Okay, so we have this pattern region. And then we have 12th fret and 14th fret. And you could think of this as the open position too, as open, 2nd fret. And we have one octave in this area for our root note A. And then we can play blues scale or whatever scale we want in this area within the octave and then above. And we can go below. Okay, so that gives us 5. So we have this what we just talked about, which is also an octave lower here in open position. So that's 1, and then we shift down. We shift down to 9th position. That's 2. Shift down to 7th position. That's 3. Shift down to 5th position. That's 4, and shift down to 2nd position, and that's 5. So we have 5 kind of pattern areas that we can work with, and these work out for different types of scales. One of the ones to check out is the minor scale, which kind of, or minor pentatonic scale, rather. It just kind of really points out how the patterns can work, but you can use other types of scales as well. So as we work up on guitar, you'll find as we discussed, there's a lot that is the same in a different position. So I'm playing these 2 notes, I'm playing the same 2 notes, A an octave lower and higher, in 2 positions. So when you move up a position, you gain maybe 1 or 2 higher notes depending on the scale that you're playing, and you lose a lower note. So let's say we're playing the A minor pentatonic in this 2nd position. You're going to lose that low G when we go up to the 5th position. You're going to gain the high C here. So with the pentatonics, you generally lose 1 note that's lower, and you gain 1 note that's higher. Well, that's about it today. I thought we would go over the fundamentals of how the positions work to kind of refresh our memory on how the guitar is laid out. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please send me a message if you have any questions or have any suggestions on possible topics I may cover. And so this week we should have a few more videos on Dust in the Wind coming out, and I hope to have a webpage out available with some interactive chord shapes that you can try hovering over the diagram and reveal some of the specifics about the chords and that kind of thing. Well, thanks again for listening. And this video, there's a video version of this recording that should be available either on the website or the YouTube channel. Thanks again, and I hope you have a great week of practice.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Guitar Resource podcast. Be sure to rate and subscribe. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.